such an interesting time to be back again on your screen. I mean, this is Gyna Plus. Good evening, and thank you for joining me on this beautiful, heartwarming episode of Gyna Plus right on Afia TV. My name is Doris, my Shisha, as you already know, and this is where we discuss health issues that affect women and girls in the society. This program comes up every Wednesday at 6 p.m. You can catch up with a repeat on Saturday at 8 p.m. And yes, we have our channel Afia Lifestyle and Culture, where you could go watch all of the episodes that we've done. We've talked about so many health issues that affect women and girls. So yeah, feel free go in there and of course have your time out with some of these topics that we have highlighted. So last week we started a conversation commemorating the International Day of the Girl Child, which was on the 11th of October. And of course, we had beautiful girls who joined me on set or joined us on set. We had some insightful and very, wonderful conversation around girl child, the kind of challenges we experienced. But we didn't go actually because, for time's sake, we had to continue this conversation this week. So still in the studio is Floroma Tony Ojuku. How are you? Good to have you back again. And of course, Chairman Duakubam, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
And Chimamanda, you look, are you okay sitting that way? Or you look like you're in a lounge. You forgot.
Chilling.
How are you, Chimamanda?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to have you back. And of course, it's a Chika Mailo. Beautiful you. How are you?
Fine, good, thank you.
So we did something last week. 11th October was the Day of the Girl Child, and this is something that makes us unique as girls. We had to come out to, lend our voice to this conversation around girl child. And the theme, and October, generally speaking, is still the month for girls. So we are allowed to talk about us from now to the end of October. So if you ask me. So we'll do a brief recap. One question I know that stood out for me when I asked last week was, what makes you stand out as a girl? And I wanted to reaffirm and re-emphasize that before we now move on to what we have in stock today. So yeah, Floroma, as usual, I'm going to begin with you. That thing that makes you unique, that makes you stand out as a girl. You mentioned something last week, and I think I want to hear that again. If you have something different, you can say.
Well, as I said last week, I'm still going to stand on that point about domestication. That importance you feel at home whenever you're not around, or when you're around and feel like, okay, if your mom is not here, or even if your mom is here, there are some things that she'll tell you to do that she can't tell your male siblings to do. That since you're a girl at home, you have some special responsibilities that nobody can take away from you, even though you have. So that feeling of pride, importance, and self-love, self-esteem at home that you have for your friend, that job of taking care,
walking with your shoulder high. I'm a girl. Yeah, Choma, let's hear from you.
Well, as I said earlier, girls they're independent. They're intelligent. They are change leaders and they're change makers. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we would also hear from. For some reason, Chimamanda, I think it's been such a delight having you in particular on this set. Not because you're in primary 4, but because let's hear from you.
One thing that makes us stand as
okay,
girls.
You should be more audible.
One thing that makes us stand as girls is that we are smart, we are beautiful, we are kind, we are amazing, and we love to help each other. That's the thing that makes us stand out as girls.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. As I said last week, I feel like what makes us stand out as girls is the ability to express ourselves through what we wear, what we choose to wear, and what we do. And boys don't have that freedom, as much freedom as we do.
Yes, last week when we started, so I'm going to begin with you, Sochikaima. We talked about some challenges and certain kind of pressures that come on us as just being girls, and we talked about some things. We'll just do a recap on that then before we now go into what we have fully for this week. What is one of the challenges you said personally and even generally speaking that you think girls experience even at school or at home?
Okay. So what I said personally, one of the pressures was like my height, being too short, being shorter than practically everyone around me, and I was bullied for it. But after some time, I gained more confidence, loved myself more. So now I'm actually very okay with my height. Then another thing that I said last week was my friend that's skinny, that they bully her for not eating enough, that she looks sickly and things like that.
And she started eating more. And the contrary, Floroma was saying that she had a friend that was on the chubby side and had to go to the boarding school because she needed to lose weight. Let's just hear her some of these challenges. Okay.
Okay, as I said before, about using me as an example, about how just when I entered, that someone told me that you're sure that this is not the class for like for primary school. That is, the person was trying to point out the direction of the primary school
And that
section
got to
to
you.
me. Yeah, so I was not happy. I was still with my friends, yeah, but I felt the pain inside. I went to home, told my mom I made that shot. She told me, why did I say that? Why do I say that? So now I told her, someone told me this is that I'm short. She told me that when I go to school, that I should tell that person that if the person says it again, I should say what I have upstairs is more than what you have. So, but not on a like
On the root side,
yes,
yeah.
on the root side, just on a self defense. So she taught me that self love, self esteem, not to be inferior, to have that inferiority complex. And I talked about my friend that told me she was going to boarding school, even though I know that she doesn't actually like boarding school, but just because some people say that she's fat, like she's too big, and she now said she wants to gain weight. I tried to get like dissuade her from going.
But she still had to go. Okay, so yeah, these are some of the issues that we talked about last week, some of the challenges and the uniqueness that makes us stand out as girls. Before we take a break, though something happened. I think someone shared a story that happened recently during the summer holiday. I think something happened with one of the camps where someone I know attended. And she met this girl who would say, oh, I'm your friend, but she comes only when she needs something. All of those times she couldn't give. We were more like pressure. If you want to be my friend, you have to give me this. That was a girl to another girl.
Yeah.
And where she couldn't, one of the times she said, I need airtime, you need to send me airtime. So these are teenagers, and you're calling another teenager to send airtime to you. And she said, oh, I do not have money to send. You say, you're a piece of trash. It's not like I need you for anything. So that got to the child, and she... Like, and I'm like, did you tell your mom? Did you? She said, no, she didn't. She didn't tell anybody about it. She just had to do it because she felt the girl was a less privileged person. I said, no, a less privileged cannot tell you you're a piece of trash. So I wanted to just quickly comment on how parents can help boost the esteem of their children, self-esteem of their children, how to even defend themselves in the face of crisis like this among their peers. Just quickly, and then we'll take a break.
The first thing I'll say is, as parents, we show by example. If you're not confident in who you are, your child can see through that. So you also have to learn how to express self-confidence, because your child is also seeing how you're relating to your other friends. Are you a pushover? Are you, do people walk all over you? Are you a people pleaser? So the child is, so I can come and tell you, oh, believe in yourself, and the next minute I'm seeing mommy being a people pleaser. The two messages are conflicting. So I'll say, as parents, you should realize that you are, as a Christian, I'll say you are the Bible your child reads. So you have to first of all show by example. So when you're telling the child, your action is affirming what you're already telling her. So that's what I'll say.
And if you have to do it because you want to, let it not be because you were pressured to.
Yes.
So we'll take a break now, and after that we will delve into part of the conversation we couldn't, finish last week. So stick around. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you for staying tuned. You're still watching Gyna Plus on Afia Television, and it's been an exciting episode celebrating girls all over the world. As it is October, very, very important month for the girl child, including myself. I'm a girl child now. How about? My name is Doris Mayushisha, and I still have a full house. And Dr. Brenda Akanisi is still here. And of course, a beautiful girl. So, Doc, we had the last part doing highlights of what we did in the previous week.
Okay.
But now let's talk about something that's very important. I saw a very disturbing statistics from UNICEF that in the last 20 years, self-harm has been one of the leading causes of death among adolescent girls globally. When I read through that, I was like, oh, I didn't know. I thought boys were, known for this more. But not to say that it's even a good thing, whoever does it. So what is what constitutes self-harm basically?
Okay, self-harm is when you deliberately inflict injury on yourself. You just hurt yourself. That is self-harm. And now, some of the signs that you can see is you probably see, because how do they induce the self-harm? They probably use something sharp to start cutting themselves. Do you get? So so the idea is this for them who do it. It's like, so if I inflict that pain on me, there's something to focus on that distracts the internal turbulence that the child is feeling. Do you understand? So let's say, there's a way you feel unsettled mentally, right? Now, if you go and inflict harm on yourself, it takes away, it distracts you from the mental struggle you're dealing with, because the pain is actually real, right? Now you also see this happens in people, maybe there's a breakup or they give you breakfast with job. Do you understand? For the older adolescent, you see them now induce self-harm. And also that self-harm is also a way for people seeking attention. Do you get? And so when you see a mark on a child, a part of the body that is repeated is a pattern. So that's a sign that, you know, parents or maybe the what the guiding around should watch out for. Also, when a child starts withdrawing, right? When maybe the child likes to play basketball, all of a sudden the child is not finding interest in things that used to bring her pleasure initially. Then also the child starts saying very abstract things. You know how you say, this world is blurry. You know, there's a way somebody you're used to in the house, when the person starts talking in an abstract way, it's a sign for you to start saying, okay, what's happening here? Because obviously there's a mental challenge ongoing. Do you get? Because you cannot commit self-harm if you are happy with yourself. So most people who participate in self-harm are already depressed. And that's depression, which is spiraling out of control. So immediately you see such signs, the parents should just, you know, or the guidance should just immediately seek help for that child before it gets out of hand, before it leads to like suicide and all.
Okay, so I'll take you on the last point. So I know sometimes where they get angry because they couldn't get certain things they wanted to, or they asked for, they start acting up, and you talked about they throw tantrums, and you talked about the attention part. But at what point should I be worried as a parent and said, okay, you need to see a doctor because it's becoming very unhealthy?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Once you know your child, for example, now let's say I want this cup and I don't give it to you, I start acting out. So that most likely will lead to just you acting out.
For adolescent,
for within the adolescent age. So just know, okay, this person is acting out because the person didn't get what, you know, she was looking for. But now another thing, they should go and trace back the history. So you should know there's a pattern. That's why as a physician, when you come, they ask you questions and they take history. What led to that action? Because you won't just start practicing self-harm if there wasn't an issue that led to that. So you have to go back and start tracing. So you have to ask her friends, because sometimes at this age, kids open up more to their peers than their parents. So start observing her, start asking questions around maybe her teachers and all that. Say, oh, is this pattern also happening in school? Because if it's a tantrum, you just act out just in the house. But if you notice this pattern is also happening in school, most likely not a tantrum. It is something that is more severe. So that's how you can differentiate the two. Like, I don't get what I want and I start acting out, as opposed to there's really an underlying mental challenge that needs urgent attention.
Okay, thank you, Doc. So to the girls now, you know, last week when we spent time talking about pressure girls face, and we even had a recap of that earlier on, when you had to, you know, re-emphasize some of the pressure some of the challenges you had to go through at the point, and then you talked about the pressure some of your friends had to go through because they were skinny and stuff. Now, I'd like us to, you know, talk a bit more about that now on a different angle now, about maybe you or someone that you probably would know around. How does it feel like you're in group, you have a friend and you're trying to make a point, let's say a good point, or just trying to be heard, and it looks like no one is listening to you, and it looks like, oh, you're just more like a talking drum. I mean, who cares about you? How does that feel personally? How do you feel about scenarios like that? Have you ever experienced it where it looks like it might even be a good argument, but nobody's listening to Choma? What is Choma even saying? You have to scream out of your voice and they're still not listening. Yeah. I don't know if you ever had an occasion where you experienced something like that. And what did it feel like, really, not being heard, not being listened to, where your point was not even taken into cognizance? What was that like? So I'll begin with you, Sachikaima.
So it was the day I went to my brother's friend's house when I just wanted to accompany him, you know, be a good sister for once. So
now there's a track record. Go ahead.
I was there, and then all of a sudden his friend was like saying, "Oh, you don't have friends," and I'm just like, What did I do? I'm just here. And my brother didn't even do anything. He was just there, and I was upset and I felt left out. Then when they were now like about to play game, I said, "Oh, can I join?" They ignored me like totally. I just stood up and left, and they didn't even know I left. When my brother came back, he was like, "Oh, when did you leave?" So I just felt very
unseen.
I think I can relate. I'll share my story later. Chimamanda, do you have anything on this?
No.
Okay, how about you, Chema?
Well, because actually in my school and my class, I'm a bit small. So maybe, and the boys in the class, they're like, let me see, they're like men. So
okay.
So when the men that are making noise and you try to them to keep quiet, it's just as if no one's talking. that they're just talking with their bass voice. They're trying to talk and then they can't even hear you. No, they don't even know that someone is talking. And then I just feel like look, nobody's even hearing me. I'm just
Does that
talking to
hurt?
myself. Yes, it does actually because you
So
try
if-
to make a point and then you're not even listening. You're just continuing what you're doing.
But if you had a way to change that situation, what would you rather wish should happen? Like, how would you have wanted it to go?
Yeah.
I would want them to listen to me, at least see what I'm trying to do. Try to make them to keep quiet. Like, I wish I was even taller so that they can even see me.
If you climb the decks, there's a way I want to be seen. I don't know how your classroom said it, like back in the days when we were in school, we had this, little wooden decks where you can actually stay there. And I'm not saying you have to be unruly, but I'm more you have to see me. But it's okay. But I hope that doesn't get into you. It doesn't affect you in any way, academically, socially. You still go about it just within that moment where that particular incident happens, and not about you as a person. Because girl, you're beautiful. So yeah.
Not really personally because in my class, I'm the third in the heights.
Okay, you're tall.
No.
Oh, really?
So, but still, if I want to make a point, I make a point, and you don't have a choice but to listen because I'm that bold type. I won't get shut down by what to say or what to do.
So you scream back.
Yeah, I just say and wait for me to finish talking, then you can say whatever I want to say. But sometimes it happens at home with my brothers. Sometimes they can just join together and I'll be like, you don't even say this thing. Nobody's talking to you. Are you a boy? That kind of thing. And sometimes be looking at them and like, I'm not older than you. Can't you at least accord that kind of respect? But sometimes they do, but not all the time. But apart from me, I could see some other people they don't actually have a say in anything, especially those ones that are not the eldest. They have maybe they're the youngest in the family. Some girls don't even have a say, and whatever their friends say, whatever their brothers say is what goes, and they can't even speak up for themselves because they're afraid of what people will now say about them, the way they'll be answered, and that kind of thing.
I mean,
But Doris has something to do. So,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying this is also a cultural thing because how they will say a woman should be seen, not heard. So you grow up with that ideology, for sometimes when you're vocal as a woman, you feel, is it feminine enough?
and sometimes fellow women would tell you,
Yes.
you're a woman, you need to carry yourself.
And
like a
another thing, if you
woman.
notice, let me talk for our age. When we're maybe in a setting with a male counterpart or try to prove a point, and let's be like, just let me I want to talk to your husband. Like, you're inconsequential. And I think we can also relate to the fact of not being seen. Because at the end of the day, when I'm having a conversation with you, I want to feel like I was heard. It doesn't necessarily mean you must do what I say, but at least just hear me out. And I think that's what, they all say in unison, like, they want to be seen regardless of whether they are tall enough to their
short,
classmates
yeah.
or they are short. That's not the
Or
point.
young
I
or
just want to be seen. And I think for our age, we say we also want to be heard because at this age, you will see me.
And that
But I just want to be heard.
So that takes us to how do we even change the narrative? Because when we're talking about the theme for the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child is the girl I am, the change I lead. So talking about that change now, if we will talk about changing the narrative, what do we suggest that be done to put us on the spotlight? We're not going to fight for these things. I know there have been policies, advocacies, there are lots of noise, good noise around women need to be heard and seen. But on this platform where we are, what would you say can be done differently to put us on the spotlight more without us begging or fighting for it?
I think let's start with, I'm going to classify it based on the home. Let me start with the home. I think it's for one, like I said, parents showing example, then also that self-belief in your child, like no matter what. So don't start, I know there's what we call gender role, but never ever make your female child feel like she's less or her voice doesn't matter, because sometimes some of the brilliant ideas comes from, the female species. So I think don't ever make her feel like she has to reduce herself so that she can fit somebody else's ego.
Yeah.
And I will just give you a typical example because at the end of the day it's a health show. I remember one day we were doing ward run, that was when I was doing house job, and we went to the ward and this mom was, very sad. And we're asking what's the problem, and her child was being treated, and she said the husband told her to come back home that day with the child, and if she didn't come back that day he was going to divorce her. and the child was still in need of urgent care. And you could see, as we were leaving to see the next patient, in my mind, I just knew obviously she was going to leave.
She would leave.
She's not going to stay there based on the demands the man was making. And you could tell me how many times I even saw the man come to even take care of that child in the hospital. So now, there is no way if that girl was empowered, because he's paying the bills, if she was empowered mentally, which translates to her being empowered physically, her having her own money, she can afford to say, you know what, I'm going to stay back in this hospital and take care of my child. Because at the end of the day, if she stays back against his will, she still will not even have enough money to take care of the medical bills. So at the end of the day, she just had to obey him and leave. So I think when we have these conversations, especially for you, the young ones here, people should be conscious of the fact that some of this, people enjoy some privileges that maybe my mothers did not get to enjoy, or their mothers didn't get to enjoy. So don't take it for granted, and make sure that in any space you find yourself in, even if they don't want to hear you, make sure it's called doings. Make sure your doings is showing for yourself. Make sure that you carry yourself in such a manner that everything you do shows excellence. So that at the end of the day, when they want somebody to do that job, they will call you and say, no, I want Kama to do the job. I want,
excellence.
They will call you to do the job, because at the end of the day, they know it's not a thing about gender. They want excellence. And when excellence is associated with your name, any room you find yourself in, you'll be heard.
All right, thank you so much. At this point, I feel like you just wrapped it all because I was no need for further questions. This for me is a highlight of the show. Wherever you find yourself, it excellence speaks for you, because you know who you are, who you represent, what you represent. So we go out there as girls with our shoulder high, knowing that, oh, we carry something with us inside of us. So I mean, that's our take-home message. Thank you, beautiful girls, for coming on the show. And I meant to do a break, but I think that would be necessary because we are celebrating girls. We'll do a short game, and this game is just going to be for seconds. So this concentration game, and we'll just chat. Conseil, you say conseil, name words that
Describe
a girl child in one word. We just wanted to make it very fast. If whoever pauses, of course, doesn't even want to be in this game. So I will start.
What's the price for the reader?
Okay, so
I don't have sleep, but I'll put this on.
Conseil. Okay, so we're going to mention words that describe a girl child in one word. Beautiful.
Multitasking.
Strong.
Okay, you're out. Okay, we'll pick up from you.
Innovative.
We can't hear you.
Innovative.
Awesome.
So we'll take it one more round. So think of something. One more time. Conseil. You respond. Conseil. Okay, now describe a girl child in one word. Amazing.
Unique.
Beautiful.
Elegant.
Creative.
Awesome.
I'm beautiful, awesome, elegant, amazing. I got all of that. And that's who we are as girls. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I mean, my name is Doris, my name is Shisha, and I had, of course,
Chimamanda Agubam.
Sochikaima.
and my very own, always, she put up all of these. Thank you so much, Dr. Brenda. We brought the girls. We made sure this worked the way it had to be. Her idea, always, every time, very creative. That describes the girl child.
Yes,
Thank you, Dr. Brenda. It's been a part of the show. And on behalf of Afia TV, we are saying happy Girl Child Month, because, I mean, we had the last one, which was the day of Girl Child. And yeah, thank you so much. And please pass this to Dr. Brenda. On behalf of Afia TV, we say thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Forever, this is for you. And of course, Chima for you. And Chimamanda, thank you for coming. And of course, I hope I'm not giving her the wrong bag. Thank you so much. We'll get to check later. And this is for me, I guess. Thank you so much, guys. Keep watching Afia TV. And please, we have a channel, Afia Culture and Lifestyle. You can always check out on all that we do. This would be here, of course, on the channel. The first episode is already there. So you can go catch up with all of that you missed. Thank you so much. And we love you. And again, we say happy International Day of the Girl Child. But this one, happy International Day of the Girl Month. Thank you so much. This is where we draw the curtains for the day. See you some other time. Bye.